It really shows that when you tell someone you look like someone and you end up not looking like them, you really throw them off in this experiment. So let's get to it. We're going to be covering episodes 4 to 6 of Love is Blind. This video is going to be a little long, so buckle up. The girls start talking about some of their quirks, and Mackenzie shares that she pees in the pool. AD's like, girl, pee on your man, but not in my pool. One of the first dates that we get is with Jeremy and Sarah Ann. They're having a conversation, and while Jeremy finds it weird to talk during sex, Sarah Ann finds it super normal to have like an actual conversation while doing it.
I don't even know that. Like, I've just had conversations before.
So what do you guys think? They talk about being able to have intimacy with someone while actually having a connection with them and not just doing it to do it. In this date, Sarah Ann also tells him that she feels very vulnerable with him and that she hasn't felt like this in a while. She never imagined sitting in a box and feeling so alive for someone. Also, Jeremy admits that he has a lot of physical tension with Sarah, even though he hasn't seen her yet. And the thing is that the intimate connection that should be there is not there yet. But he has shared some things with her that he hasn't shared with anyone else, like the fact that he wants to take her to his dad's grave. He hasn't told that to anyone else. Now, he does tell her, this connection is more of a physical one. Back at the headquarters, Sarah Ann is telling all the girls that she's gonna marry this man. She is sure about this. And you can tell that Laura on the side is like, skrr, because Jeremy has been her only one option. She has locked in on this guy since the beginning and she hasn't seen anyone else in her mind. And not only that, but they have shared things like planning out their holidays and doing all these things with each other. So the fact that she's listening to this is not playing too well with her. When she goes on her date with Jeremy, she seems pretty bothered and brings up to him that, she made a pro and con list, and the pro list had way more things added to it, and she was running out of space. She also tells him that this is her number one, but doesn't want him to feel pressure to making a decision because she understands that he has made a connection with someone else, not just her. But guess what? Jeremy is building a pretty good connection with her. He tells her, I have never seen you or been with you, but I know that there's way more cons to our connection. And the thing is that with Sarah Ann, the connection is kind of physical. Even though they haven't seen each other, it's very sexual. But with Laura, it's more of a personal, deep connection, even though at times I feel like it's a little conflicting and I don't really know where he stands. Now, with Clay and AD, she shares with him how she felt lost at the beginning and kept finding comfort in him every single time. Clay says that this felt right the entire time. Did it? Did it? He thanks her for getting to this point, for making him feel like the man that he deserves to be, and he wants to do the same thing for her. One of the main reasons why Clay feels AD so much is because she's always hyping him up, boosting up his ego, making him feel special. And we did see how he was acting at the beginning of the show, how he was leading with like the looks and the superficial things. So I'm feeling a little doubtful about their connection. Actually, very doubtful. He also reads her Bible verse that in short mentions how God will place the right path in your place as long as you allow him to do so. There's something crazy about AD because she's over here building connections with 2 red flags. I mean, she did say that she likes to paint her nails red to match it. I think a lot of us have been with a man like Clay, and at times we might feel like what's coming out of his mouth is all lies. And at this point, I'm just waiting for him to break her heart. He also tells her, you are always validating me. I'm never going to abandon you. I always want to be with you. We're a team. And then he proposes to her. And of course, she says yes. She also mentions to him how she is thankful that he didn't let her down, that he pulled through. AD is always doing the best that she can to assure Clay that she wants to be with him. Now, to Brett and Tiffany, they are about to meet each other. Both of them share that this is the first time that they have dated outside of their race. And in the previous episode, they both agreed that this wasn't an issue for either of them.
Later.
When Brett got to Tiffany, he took a step back to really look at her, and I was like, what is going on? Is he about to tell her I can't get past this? But no, he likes what he sees, and she does too. I'm very used to couples either jumping on each other's bones or just being awkward and hating each other. So I really have to process their meetup, because even though they were very into each other, they kept their hands off one another. Again, they are very religious and old school, so I'm guessing this is totally normal.
Oh my god.
Is this me? Is this me?
Me. Oh my goodness.
And do you guys think that they're attracted to each other? One of the other dates that we get is with Trevor and Chelsea. He gave Chelsea a rock, and in the rock it had the word love in Braille, and it's a reference as to, like, you know, love is blind. He also gives her a collar, and this collar is actually very special because it's from his dog. And I actually found out a couple, like probably yesterday, I think, that he said that she passed away sometime around the experiment, which was very, very sad. But yeah, it had, I mean, the name Chelsea for Chelsea, but it was also his dog's name. And then Chelsea gives him bracelet that vibrates for the other person, like every time you touch it. So whenever you're thinking about that person, then it's just gonna vibrate. They talk about making change in the world, and he says that he loves her again, but Chelsea is not ready to say it just yet.
I love you. Like, I just love your outlook on life.
Ay. You're making me cry.
This is my favorite conversation that we've had.
Me too.
What I'm surprised about this whole relationship is the amount of connection that Trevor has with Chelsea. It simply might just be a small connection. We'll see who she has the bigger connection with. Now moving on to Jimmy and Jessica. Jimmy is going to meet with Jessica, and as soon as this meeting starts, it's becoming clear that Jimmy is more excited about the lust part than he is about the love part.
Foresee it ever being a question about love, but there's a lot of sexual tension, so excited about the lust.
She gives him a gift, which is a very special letter that she wrote a couple years ago that she wanted to give to her future husband. This letter was beautiful. Like, there's nothing that can do justice to the letter. My problem with this was the fact that this was a letter written years ago for that special someone, and this man hasn't even proposed to you. He hasn't even gotten down on one knee, and you're already giving it to him. So he reads the letter, you know, whatever. He doesn't give her anything back. Like, there's no exchange of gifts. It's just her giving him the letter, and that's what we get. Jimmy's reaction was not what she was expecting. He has a lot of concerns and still won't admit to her that he cannot get past the fact that she has a child. So Jessica calls him out and tells him, I'm a big girl, just tell me if you're not that into me.
Tell you exactly what you want to hear at this point.
And I agree on this. By this time, you should have already made up your mind already. I think it has been long enough. And then Jessica tells her,
I think it would probably be easier for you to be with someone who's a little bit more gentle with you.
he ends up admitting that what he has dated in the past is just like what she said, more gentle, more mellow people, and that he's usually the one that takes the lead and wants to put a pin on this conversation and come back later on. But Jessica does tell him that next time that they have this conversation, she really does want to have an answer as to whether she's gonna be the pig or not. When they go back to the headquarters, Jessica shares that she can't keep doing this, especially with her daughter in the picture. And Jimmy tells the boys that the conversation was very difficult and that he is very confused because he cannot see himself saying yes to two people. Yeah, of course you can't do that. You're not in Sister Wives. When he goes on a date with Chelsea, he tells her that I'm pretty sure you can tell that I didn't get a gift for anyone, and I don't really want to talk about my connection with anyone else. But then he says that he wanted to maximize his options and time with everyone, and this is exactly the reason why he didn't get a gift, which to me is kind of an excuse and just like a cop out as to why he didn't get anything, and just the fact that he keeps trying to drag both of these girls along to see which one he's gonna pick at the end of the day. What does happen is that he ends up telling Chelsea that he's very into her.
It's been a long time since I've felt this way about someone, but I love you, Chelsea.
And Chelsea wants to puke. Yeah. She has been saving her I love you into the moment that she gets proposed, which I think is pretty smart, honestly. I don't have a problem with Chelsea one bit. She played it well. She left her options open and never really led someone to the moon. But I do have a problem with Jimmy because the moment that he found out that Jessica had a child and the fact that she took so long to tell him, he had already made up his mind. And I am upset because he stringed her along instead of being honest with her and just telling him that he wasn't going to get over the fact that she had a child. Now, when Chelsea goes back to the girls, she's super happy, and well, why wouldn't she be? He just told her that he loves her, and when Jessica sees her smiling ear to ear, she knows it is time for her to move on. Now, Laura comes up to her and tells her,
My mission to protect it all goes to staggering. You should go. We should leave one. He chose her. I'm not saying anything.
however, the problem with this is that she doesn't want to tell her exactly what he said. She just says, you need to leave the experiment. Leave why? Like, tell me why is it that I need to get out of here? And she doesn't tell her. Like, if you're going to come with the news, then at least say the full news. Do I appreciate the fact that she came to tell her? Yes, I do. Because if Jessica leaves, then, you know, she gets the I left. I made the decision. But we'll see. Are you guys ready to witness another reveal? Even though Clay was worried about looks, he has no freaking idea what is waiting for him on the other side of the door. Because we have all seen AD, and she's gorgeous, and she has a dump on the trunk. Like, it's, you know, it's there. You can see it.
Hello. How you doing, baby? The blue too? Come on, look at it. I know, it's right here, right?
Hi.
The flash, let me just see your ring, baby.
He gets down on one knee too, and, you know, he proposes to her again. And then there's a moment where AD gets up and she's like, look at this, and then shows him her, you know, her cheeks. I mean, this is what he wanted physically, and he got it without even knowing. So let's cheer to their engagement working out. He cannot believe it. He's at a loss for words, how he got so lucky. She's so bubbly, gorgeous, and has like the picture booty. But this man is still a red flag, and I don't fully trust him just yet. In the headquarters, Trevor is saying what I'm thinking. He is so open with his emotions because he's expressing how even if Jimmy goes in there and proposes to Chelsea, he's still going to go on the date with her and let her break his heart. Yes. Trevor, come on, put those beautiful feelings inside and really think about yourself first, like just for once. When Jimmy goes inside the room, I was so upset because guess who is in there? Jessica. Didn't Laura just tell you, you know, you were gonna get dumped, so just go home? So just stay so he can dump you? But, oh, did she prove me wrong? Because when she went in there, I was like, oh shit. Oh, what? I cannot believe it. Even though Jessica does have a right to be upset about the situation, the following things that she's about to say.
Viewer discretion is advised.
When you see and realize what you missed out on, you are going to choke. You are going to need your EpiPen to open up your airways.
The problem is that she was so hung up on the feelings of just love and everything that she ignored all the signs that were pointing to Jimmy not picking her. Did he ruin her experience? No, not really. Like, I think it was Jessica's job to analyze and really make sure that the decisions that she was making were the right decisions. The moment that she saw his reaction to her having a child, she should have known better. She feels like he dragged all of this along, and he says that he didn't know until yesterday, which is a lie, because he was already telling Chelsea he loved her. And yeah, she calls him out for it, because why would you tell someone you love them and then say that you just made your decision today in the morning? It doesn't make sense, Jimmy. One of the things that he says is that if I'm not on top of my game, I need someone to help me through it and call me out for it. And I was like, so why are you picking Jessica? Because Chelsea is nothing close to that. She's super mellow. And let's be honest, he is going to regret this, because he has no idea that the image that he has in his mind of Chelsea looking like Megan Fox is so far from the truth. Chelsea is not bad looking, but she is not Megan Fox. I'm going to laugh out loud when he sees her, because he's going to be very disappointed, and that has nothing to do with Chelsea. On this episode, the producers were playing with us as like to which door Chelsea was going to pick, and the entire time she's talking about how she hopes she's making the right decision, which I don't think she's going to. And guess who she sees? Jimmy. Jimmy tells her that he doesn't know how to feel because he just came from a breakup to now a date with her.
Will you marry me? I want to know if you'll meet me at the altar in your white dress.
But after everything, he gets in Wani and tells her that he loves her. And he's super excited to be with her, create a family, and asks if she will marry him. After she says yes, he starts jumping around and screaming, and she just doesn't know how to feel. But now it's time to break Trevor's heart because he's still over there. She tells him he will fit into her life so well, instead of straight up telling him, we are done, I said yes to Jimmy.
Can't give you all of me right now.
What do you mean you can't give him all of you right now? Then when can you do that? Are you sure he's going to make you the happiest? Trevor is asking this with a lot of logic, because he's right. Jimmy had no idea who he was going to pick, but you know who did? Trevor. He was sure of her since the second episode. When Trevor asked her,
If I went first, would you have said yes to me?
I was thinking this because I was like, yeah, I think that would have been the case. I think if Trevor would have proposed to her first, she would have said yes to Trevor. What do you guys think about this? But Chelsea doesn't answer. She just stays quiet. That's a lot of the things that she does. And then she starts apologizing about not being able to give him all of her. Trevor tells her, stop, you didn't do anything wrong to me. And then he tells her that
I tapped my bracelet about 100 times today.
but she's not even wearing it. Yeah. I wanted to touch on the bracelet really quick because Jimmy didn't give her anything. But you know who did? Trevor. And that was special. So I don't know. I have a lot of question marks popping in my brain because I cannot comprehend how Chelsea picked Jimmy. I can't. Why? Why him? Well, Trevor is telling her that he never cared about looks and he was never going to care about looks. You guys know who cares about looks? Jimmy. Moving to Jeremy and Sarah, and he's only meeting with her to break up with her, but doesn't really know how to tell her what his reason is. Of course, Sarah Ann is feeling foolish because how do you not have a reason to say no to someone? If I was Laura and watched this back, I would definitely have some concerns because it doesn't make it clear to me that this guy picked me unwillingly. Does that make sense? Laura has a huge smile on her face when she sees that Sarah Ann walked into the door, and she wants to know if Laura and Jeremy had a heart-to-heart when they were talking to each other, which they did a couple ones, not as many as the ones that she had with him. When Laura walks in the room, she already knows that he's going to ask her to marry him. He tells her that he had already decided yesterday that he wanted her, and she says yes. Laura tells him that he was it for her since the beginning, and she's very happy.
Laura, I would love more than anything to have you as my wife.
I would love to marry you.
But now it is time for Jimmy to meet his Megan Fox. He says that he is super sure that he wants to spend the rest of his life with Jessica.
I've never been more sure that Jessica.
Jessica? You mean You mean Chelsea? I'm pretty sure that the producers just kept this here to be messy. That's all, nothing else.
Jimmy said, I don't care what you look like. I do not care what you look like.
Are you sure he said that? Because he was way more excited about you looking like Megan Fox. And then the reveal has come.
I can't run. I can't run.
Oh my goodness.
She's literally running in there. She even says it later that she was running like a T-Rex. And I just felt like Jimmy was constantly trying to reassure himself that this is who he wanted to see. Because the reaction was not it for me. He didn't seem excited. He didn't seem like he was all into her. He didn't seem like he wanted to be there.
She definitely lied to me on some how she looked.
Not really. She never said that she looked like Megan Fox. And then when this man sits down with her, he tells her that he was actually thinking about going home today in the morning. And I am not sure why he thought that saying this would be a good idea, but he did. And Chelsea asked him if it was a conversation that he had with Jessica, and he says no, which I'm pretty sure it was. And she's asking him, is this what you expected? Is this what you had in mind? And then he tells her that he, had something else in mind.
Chelsea Blackwell, will you marry me?
Yes.
Then he tells her that to please never change how she has been to him so far, because if she does, then I'll feel like looks might really become an issue. I added that. So yeah, that's what we got for that meeting. I don't think it was good at all. Tell me what you guys think, because I thought it was incredibly awkward. It's time for Laura and Jeremy to meet each other, and they are very happy about it.
Laura is home, and that is what I need most in my life.
Laura wants to know if this is what he was hoping for, and this was for him, not so much for her, because I don't think she was very attractive to him. But let's get down to business, because this man is already dropping down on one knee because he wants to ask her to marry him.
Will you remarry me?
I'm gonna pass out.
Don't do that. Don't do it until I put the ring on first.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
They even go to the couch outside to talk to each other and just spend time with one another. I didn't really write much about them, but so far so good, right? Now, let's move on to the honeymoon. So there's a part when they go to the honeymoon between Chelsea and Jimmy, where Jimmy tells her,
I totally forgot what you. Oh
God.
do you have to say that? And then she wants to know, do you regret it? And he tells her, no, you look great, you look gorgeous. And then that wouldn't have mattered. Then they go sit down on the couch, and this man tells her that apparently he has a bone to pick with her. And what is that bone that he has to pick with her? The fact that he had asked her not to tell anyone that he said the words, I love you. She explains to him, I didn't tell anyone. I went inside, I was talking to the girls, and then Laura was the one that went over to Jessica and told her what I said. Then he starts saying that, Jessica drove down on me. She told me all these things.
And then she brought up looks as well, which was kind of.
She brought up what?
Looks.
I think he brought this up to make it seem like that Jessica and Chelsea now have to fight each other, because Jessica, we have seen her, she is very attractive, and Chelsea is not exactly what Jimmy wanted. I feel like their entire first meetup, in the hotel, was spent just talking about Jessica, and I'm really trying to put some spark into the relationship. So I wasn't really into that fact. Even Chelsea does say that she is a little concerned, but she also feels very loved by him, and things feel unreal, and this is a dream come true. Now with Laura and Jeremy, here's my thing with this too. I think Jeremy is completely head over heels for Laura. However, I don't feel like Laura has the same reciprocation towards him. Now, he says things like,
My fiance exceeds my expectations. I'm very attracted to Laura physically, sexually, mentally, emotionally.
Laura thinks to say a lot of things like, you need to change this, you need to change that, this is so stupid, why are you doing that, why are you doing this? And it's just constantly trying to change this person that she just met. There was a scene in the pool where he's playing with the ball and he pushes it down and it actually pops.
I'm gonna save that for later.
You're such an idiot.
And I don't know, I don't find that cute. I don't find that funny. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Now, for Jimmy and Amy, these two really do have a connection. Is there emotionally, physically, like, is there? However,
Transparently, like, Johnny is one of those guys that I would have never paid attention to.
she usually dates like darker skin guys, darker color hair guys, and Jimmy is not one of them. But she really likes him, and the more that she knows him, the more that she is with him, she's starting to feel and she's starting to build that physical connection, and because she knows that the emotional connection is there.
When people said like, hey, oh, she takes your breath away or she left you speechless, I really thought it was like for like a second or two, not for like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, 10 to 15 minutes. That's exactly what you want your partner to say about seeing you and being with you. Now moving on to Clay and AD. There is a lot of sexual tension here. Even though Clay says that he doesn't want to lead with the ass, he does talk about her ass first. Like, he talks about looks first before anything else. And she also says,
We've had the spark, so as long as it continues past the pool.
Clay says that he wants to make sure that she is treated like the queen that she is. He wants to be vulnerable with her, and he doesn't want to sexualize her. But I find that a little conflicting because at times he does do that a lot. But he wants to be respectful and everything. But this pool scene that they were having was so hot. Like, it was so hot. I mean, AD looks incredible. The bikini that she was wearing literally complimented her so well. So I definitely understand why Clay feels this type of attraction towards her. For Brittany and Kenneth, these two are just talking. They're doing their nighttime routine. But eventually, Brittany lays down and then Kenneth comes to bed with her. And he tells her,
Every time before we go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
I always want to unpack our day.
Okay.
she tells him that, you know, she found no aches, that everything was perfect, that everything was great, except for one thing, that their water bill might be very high because she notices that both of them love to run the shower, and especially Kenneth loves to like do his face routine while having the water running. She feels very good about them. I feel very good about them still. There is that small concern of, is he really attracted to her? And this is gonna come up later on. Not necessarily that he's attracted to her, but the fact that she is a white woman. Now with Johnny and Chelsea, they're getting ready for bed and they're just doing their nighttime routine. When they are back in bed, Chelsea is like, what was the first thing you noticed about me? Jimmy is like, well, I'll keep it PG. And he tells her that he noticed her teeth. Now, there's nothing wrong with noticing teeth. I love when people compliment my teeth. However, in this experiment, after she feels so self-conscious about her looks and about just her physical appearance, there is other things that you could have possibly said to her that would have made her feel better about the situation. I do feel like a lot of the questions that Chelsea asks in regards to her looks or what she's doing are kind of like loaded questions because she doesn't love herself. She doesn't love herself to the point that anything that Jimmy is gonna say is gonna make her feel good about herself. She wants to know what the non-PG version is of what he finds attractive about her. And he says that her boobs. Now, she's not happy with this comment either. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that Chelsea is asking loaded questions? Do you guys think that her questions are reasonable? Now Chelsea has another question. Do you still like me? And then Jimmy says, yeah, in the pod, I really like your laugh. And she's like, yeah, but do you still feel the same way? Like, do you still feel the same way that you felt in the pods that you do here? And he says, yes, that there is no doubt in his mind and that this is who he wants. That he also tells her that her voice and her laugh are something that played a huge role on him making this decision because he loves the goofy, happy version of her. But she also has another question. Do you like me more in the thoughts that you like me now?
No, I love you and I love being with you.
Jimmy actually does a pretty good job with this though, because at the end he starts telling her things like, I am so happy that I picked you. I'm such a lucky man for being able to be by your side. I'm gonna go to sleep super happy tonight, things like that. So he definitely knows what to say to her to try to bring her back to a more level-headed place. And yeah, that's what we get for that episode. So let's move on to the next episode, because that is the last episode of this week and I'm so excited to talk about it because it's so much. So it's the next day in the morning and Amy and Johnny, well, Amy says that it was a very fun time last night, that physical connection is 11 out of 10. Then we are off to Chelsea and Jimmy, and they said that last night there was a lot of cuddling, a lot of snuggling, and it was just cute for AD and Clay. We can see them with like nothing on. They're wearing their glasses and he's like, do you love this? Do you love this? And of course he does. Then for Laura and for Jeremy, they're just like, oh, his snoring wasn't that bad. We're such a cute couple. And he's just like, I would say we're super, you know, like a handsome couple. For Kenneth and Brittany, they just say that it was a great night. That's it. For the first date, we have Amy and Johnny. They're spending time at the pool. And Amy is telling us that both of them are kind of quirky with each other, but that they complement each other pretty well.
I feel like we're morphing into one slowly. You know, we're two peas in a pod.
And then we go with Kenneth and Brittany that are getting a massage. So yeah, they're getting a couples massage and Brittany's like, can we please do this like every month? Or I think like every week. And he's like, yeah, we can put that in the budget. We can definitely put that in the budget. And when they're sitting there talking to each other, there were a couple of times that I was a little concerned because it seems like at times Brittany is talking to him, she's having a connection with him, and he is just looking into nothing, to like the space. He's not really like looking at her. He's not really being like interactive with her. It's more like of a, yeah. So I don't know. For Jeremy and Laura, they're shooting some arrows and they're talking about how like he would like to have a huge property with a backyard so he can like shoot arrows and do his man things.
I mean, I'm not allowed to have motorcycles or anything anymore, so I have to.
You can have one motorcycle.
That I'm not gonna ride.
Now, I don't know when this conversation happened. I don't know when it took place, but now we're finding out that Jeremy is not longer allowed to ride motorcycles because Laura doesn't like it. And you know, I said earlier, she's already trying to change things of this man that she just met. And she also brings up the fact that she doesn't like that he wears his Hawaiian shirts, which is, girl, if he was telling you he doesn't like you wearing dresses or skirts or anything like that, you wouldn't be happy about it.
I didn't say they have to leave. I said no motorcycles. No Hawaiian shirts, motorcycles. This is very one-sided. Is there any?
When AD and Clay are sitting at the bar, AD is like, you know, I really have to watch my calories because she is in a calorie deficit and she doesn't really indulge in things, especially because she's very fit. And he tells her, oh, you don't even have to worry about that. Like, I'm pretty sure if you didn't work out and if you didn't watch your calories, you would still have like a banging ass body. And she's like, no. That's not how it works. He's like, oh, I don't watch my calories. And she tells him, yeah, because you're a man. Like, a man's body do work differently. And she's like, oh, you know, well, like I worked for my body a lot. Like I've been in diets. I have worked out a lot. Like I'm here. I have this body for a reason because I have worked hard for it. Out of nowhere, Clay says, I would never let you get out of shape. And she's like, well, what if I did? What if I did get out of shape? And he says,
I'm like, AD, get in that motherfucking gym.
You would not talk to me like that.
I would.
and of course, this is not a great answer. And you can tell that AD's expression is like, wait, why are you saying it like that? Like, it just doesn't sound nice. She's definitely like, serious? That way you would ask me like that? And he's like, well, I will have to say it like that. And she's like, that's not nice. And he's like, oh, you don't think I'm nice? That's not what she said. She said that what you said was not nice. He says that if he says it like this, and that will make her determined to go to the gym.
Because at some point we're going to have children.
Yeah, you gotta get right.
And I'm going to have a belly and like.
And I would be in the gym with you every day, getting you right.
He also tells her, you know, you're a cheerleader, so you are used to people treating you like that, like trainers being hard on you. This is her future husband. This is not her trainer. And gaining weight throughout pregnancy and after pregnancy is something that a lot of women deal with. And it's not as easy as like, go work out. Long story short, you should be okay with your partner gaining some type of weight, especially if it comes to them being pregnant and not having to push them in a specific way.
I think that was a terrible delivery.
He does say that he is going to work on his delivery and he's going to work on how he says things to her.
You know, like I'm fucked up a little bit, you know?
I mean, admitting that is powerful.
Yeah.
Like, that in itself is like so sexy to me. Like,
That's on me. I set the bar too low.
AD tells him that he definitely needs a therapy because he needs to process a lot of the things that he has been doing and a lot of the things that he does right now. A lot of the behaviors that he has come from his childhood. So definitely therapy does help getting rid of those things that you're going through. However, AD says that she has been going to therapy, and the reason why she has been going to therapy is because in the past, she has had relationships where she thinks to pick a certain specific person. You know, it's a specific type. And what type are we talking about? She's not going to tell us right now, but she had already said that Clay was like the person that she used to date in the past. And who is Clay? He always seems like a fuckboy. There's no other way to put it. So I'm gonna guess that her therapy isn't really working. The other thing that they do talk about is how she had to deal with the loss of her father and having to understand that she craved that acknowledgement of having her father with her, and then when she finally found him, he passed away. It seems so quick to have to lose someone that you were constantly trying to get their approval, constantly trying to get their love and their acknowledgement. And she's also wondering, you know, who's gonna walk her down the aisle.
He wasn't there for you, your brothers were.
Yeah.
And they should be the ones to, you know, like the ones that were close to you, let them walk you down the aisle. And
I can totally relate to this because when I got married, I did have the question of who was going to, you know, give me to my husband, but I didn't have that. And I always felt like I needed my dad to be with me when I got married to my husband, and he wasn't there. So it was something definitely that just sucked a lot, but it also makes you think that that person didn't deserve and doesn't deserve the time and the privilege to walk you down the aisle. Like I believe that now, but I do wish that someone would have told me that back then when I was thinking of that. Now for Jimmy and Chelsea, they're going on a beach date, and she's super nervous to be in a bathing suit in front of Jimmy. And she just, again, I don't really want to get too much into this because it's so repetitive when it comes to Chelsea and Jimmy. She is constantly seeking for reassurance and constantly asking those questions of what would you have picked in the outside world? Do I look like the people that you usually go for? Constantly questions like that I really just, it feels like deflecting 24/7, and I'm having a really hard time understanding what's going on because Jimmy always has the right thing to say.
I wouldn't have got on a knee if I wasn't sure, very sure that you're that person. I mean, you're like my best friend.
At times, I don't know if he is really into her or if he isn't, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys think that Jimmy is actually not into Chelsea at all, and he's just trying to waltz his way into just saying no later on at the altar. Now it is time for all the couples to meet each other, and we already know from past seasons that when the couples meet each other, something goes wrong. It is important to mention that before they were going to meet each other, Jimmy and Chelsea had a conversation where Jimmy said that he was very excited to meet AD because Chelsea continues to talk about her. That's the only reason why. Now, the girls are off to talking to each other, and then the men are gonna go talk to each other. And I just want to put an emphasis onto this. The moment that Brittany came on to the girls and all of them were sitting there, she didn't have a chair. And guess who went to get her a chair? Kenneth. Kenneth went and got her a chair and put it there so she could sit down. And then she tells us that earlier on when she was showering, when she came out, he already had her flip-flops ready for her feet to literally just slide into them. And this is a definition of if he wanted to, he would, because all the girls are there like, oh my god, you hit the jackpot. Brittany's saying that she is the type to be like, grab me, touchy baby, like just let's do this, but let's not get to the point of being, you know, sexually active, because they're waiting till marriage. Now Chelsea is saying that her man is packing down there.
She was like this. Wowza.
And there was a moment where she was like, I wanted to jump on his bones, but it was hard. But she was actually referring to, like, you know, being hard. It was difficult for her not to want to jump on his bones. But yeah. So then we go back with the boys, and Jeremy is sharing with the boys that, you know, has it been difficult for you guys, because this is the first time that I see my partner and you want to be intimate with them and you want to be like close to them, but at the same time it's a little difficult. He feels like, you know, this is the first time that you see this person, but his instinct is telling him like, I want to be with this person. And he's asking them like, did anyone else feel weird about it? But all the other guys say that it felt natural and it felt normal for them.
I'm willing to bet my relationship is smoother than anybody's.
When in reality, we know that the best relationship right here, right now, is Amy's and Johnny's. And then on the side, Brittany and Kenneth. Brittany is telling Kenneth, I love you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad you're here. Things like that, because I think that she has realized that out of the man right here, and from what the girls have said, Kenneth is a really good man, and I think she knows that. Well, I know she knows that. And back to Chelsea and Jimmy. Chelsea's like, I love you, and he's like quiet, and then she's like, you haven't said it. And then he's like, yes, I did. But she's like, no, you said it very like quietly. And he's like, oh, I'll scream it if you want me to. But he doesn't scream it. And as they are having their conversation, Jimmy tells her that AD is stacked. Okay, this conversation was between them two. No one was around them. And then Chelsea turns around and goes, yeah, she is. Of course she is. And then turns to AD, points at her and goes, she's a bookshelf. Of course she is. And then she goes,
AD, hey, how you get a butt like that? Squats in Jesus, girl. That's it.
and she starts, you know, shaking the butt, moving the butt. Totally normal. I don't think there was anything wrong with that. Now, Jimmy is clearly embarrassed by what happened. He turns around, he doesn't even want to look, and then he turns around again and he's like,
I didn't take it offensive.
I said it in the most respectful way, so.
I think Chelsea continues to make it a little awkward, and at this moment, Jimmy goes over to AD to have a conversation with her, and then he's like, I'm so impressed by you, and stuff like that. Chelsea is starting to be a little concerned. She even went to ask for more alcohol, and that is one of the main things with this show, is that the producers provide them with unlimited amounts of alcohol for a reason.
Thank you.
You're the greatest. I am so embarrassed. She just called me the fuck out.
I don't know, guys. Like, I honestly don't know how I feel about the situation, because I do think that Jimmy stepped a little bit out of line, and here's why. I think that the way that he was looking at AD at times was a little like questionable, and he was just smiling too much. Like, he just too many smiles, and that was, to me, just a little bit disrespectful, especially because he was the one that came over to her. She didn't go over to him. While Chelsea's on the side getting more drinks, Amy goes over to her, and Chelsea's like, I feel sick. I feel sick. I feel sick. So they go to the side and they're gonna start talking. She's like, you know, just wait. Let's go talk right now. Let's have this conversation. So they leave to the side. Well, AD and Jimmy are still talking to each other, you know, and it seems like they're having a great conversation. On the side, Amy and Chelsea. Chelsea is telling Amy that she was trying to make the conversation better because she was already in a bad place, especially because she has been feeling extremely insecure. Now, she also says that Jimmy spent AD around, you know, to look at her butt, I guess, because that's what I'm getting from it. So I went back and I wanted to look at that part because I was like, no way that happened. And it didn't happen. And here's why I only feel like this is just on and Jimmy right now. Like, I don't really put this on AD, because even when Chelsea and Amy are having a conversation, Amy is telling her, you know, there's one thing about going up to people and saying hi and everything, but there's another thing to make a comment about it. Now, he did make the comment, but he made it to Chelsea, and Chelsea was the one that decided to make it a big deal and say it to everyone. So she also has a lot to do with this. Like, she didn't have to do that. She could have just kept it to herself. Yeah, they're done with the conversation, and Jimmy's like, you're not judging me for coming here and talking to you, right? And she's like, no, I loved every minute of our conversation, which I don't think was anything wrong with that. He goes over to the girls, and you can tell that Chelsea is like, no, I don't want to talk to you right now. I don't want to talk to you right now. So they're in a bad place at the moment, and they're gonna have a conversation later on, right before the episode ends. Clay and AD are having a conversation, and then Kenneth appears, and he's like, you know, how's it going and stuff. And here's, okay, let's have this conversation. We're gonna have this conversation. This is Karen from the future, because I realized that my audio was very messed up in this part, so I'm doing it again. I feel like Kenneth only approached AD because she was the only Black woman there. And maybe he wanted to get her opinion on his biracial relationship. Kenneth lets her know that he is sure about Brittany and that this is his person. He knows that they are there for each other. He also feels a little concerned about how the relationship will be received and perceived in the outside world. And AD asks an important question. Are you confident that she will be able to raise Black children? And he tells her that he knows she's the type of person that backs up their partner no matter what. But this is an important question, because the way that you will raise a Black child is not the same way that you will raise a white child.
Confident that she can raise Black children.
I'm very much pro-Black, and I don't lose sight. I don't lose sight of like what we have had to overcome.
And honestly, Kenneth is not wrong about that. There's a lot of things that Black people have had to overcome, and when you're raising a Black child, those things have to be taught to them so they can understand where they come from and how society might perceive them at this moment in time. Now let's move on to a different subject. There's a scene where Clay, Jeremy, and Jimmy are having a conversation, and AD goes over to sit down with Clay. Here is where Jeremy tells AD that Laura dared him to bean slapped her. And if you're wondering what a bean slap is, well, it's slapping AD's boob. Yep, you heard that right. And it turns out that Laura, back in the pods, used to do it to AD as an inside joke. I don't get it.
Don't do that, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Absolutely not.
Clay is clearly upset about this. When Laura hears this, she walks her ass over to them to protect herself and says that it was just a joke. But she's pissed because no one's understanding her freaking joke. So she walks away, she goes sit down, and she starts complaining. She says Clay needs to fucking relax. Of course, AD protects her man because he's allowed to be upset about the situation.
Giving children. It's giving small child vibes.
Laura is giving, I always get my way, and I love objectifying AD's body. Jeremy goes over to Laura, and of course she's treating him like a child. I'm going to have a word with you later. She just gets bothered. Like, I'm telling you guys, there is something about Laura continuously trying to pick on things that Jeremy is doing and not doing, and constantly trying to change him, that it's just not sitting right with me. So You know, he's just like, I want to go home. I want to go home. So he's like, he gets up and he walks out. Now, off to the hotel room. Now, Jimmy and Chelsea are going to have a conversation because Chelsea is not happy about what happened. And she's very frustrated about the fact that he was having a conversation with AD. She's like, you know, everyone's paying attention to their ladies while I was by myself the whole time while you were over there doing your whole thing. And then she's like, you know, what were you doing? And then she brings up the fact that he made the comment about her being stacked. And he's like, yeah, like I made the comment, but you know, you're the one that made it a big deal. And that is the case. That is what happened. And then she tells him that he did the whole spinning thing, which again, I didn't see. If you guys saw it, then go ahead and prove me wrong that he actually did turn her around, because I never saw that happen. Again, she has a lot of issues because she doesn't find herself attractive. She doesn't believe in herself. Chelsea also tells him, you know, all the girls were talking about how great their connections were, while I was here just like not really talking about my connection because there's a gap between them. But the thing is that Jeremy was actually talking about their connection to multiple people that night. He constantly kept saying how sure he was, how he was happy with her, how he felt good with her.
You're not inconvenience. I want to be around you. I love being around you.
Jimmy constantly has to reassure Chelsea that he picked her, that he was confident in his decision, and that this is what he wanted to do. You know, he loves her. I just feel like Chelsea is gonna sabotage herself because she continues to question the fact that Jimmy loves her. And for the next episodes, we are going to get the craziness that it is Love is Blind. You know, everyone's gonna have arguments. Kenneth and Brittany seem to have their first argument because his behavior has changed from the Dominican Republic. There's also a talk of pregnancy between Johnny and Amy, so I don't know what that's gonna be like. And then there's also a talk about Jeremy hanging out with Sarah Ann until 5 a.m. in the morning.
You hung back with Sarah Ann and was talking till 5 a.m.
I'm about to throw some punches if that is the case. So, yep, that's gonna be interesting. And one of the other crazy things that we see is that Jimmy is gonna see Jessica, and there's, I don't know if it's like the footage the producer's playing with us, but he tells her that you are always gonna be my number one. You are always my number one.
You fucked her, and I know you fucked her.
Fucked who? What are we talking about? I don't know. I'm so excited. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.